A waitress paid for a stranger's coffee. What she didn't know, he was a billionaire, searching for someone who could see past the money. The cafe was alive with chatter, rain streaking the windows. Then he walked in, soaked coat, worn shoes, eyes heavy with defeat. He asked for coffee, reached for his wallet, and froze. Empty pockets. The barista sneered. No money, no drink. This isn't a shelter. Laughter rose from a corner table. He shrank back, ready to leave. That's when Maya stepped forward. She laid down $5 and said, steady but firm, kindness isn't a transaction. It costs us nothing to show compassion. The cafe fell silent. For the first time that morning, someone saw him, not as a beggar, but as a man. And it changed everything. Welcome to Soul Food Channel, where heartwarming tales are unraveled. If this story is gaining your attention, hit like and let us know in the comments what you think will happen. The rain hammered against the glass of Harper and Pine Cafe, the kind of steady downpour that turned Manhattan streets into shining rivers of black and gold. Inside, the warmth of roasted coffee beans and chatter of uptown regulars painted a different world: clean suits, glossy shoes, and laughter over steaming mugs. Behind the counter, Maya Carter wiped down a tray of cups, her chestnut hair tucked under a messy bun. She'd been on her feet since 5 a.m., the kind of shift where her hands moved on instinct: pour, ring up, smile, repeat. She loved her job, but mornings like this could feel like a marathon. The doorbell chimed. Heads turned, not because someone important entered, but because someone clearly didn't belong. A tall man stepped in, dripping from the rain, his once gray trench coat frayed at the cuffs, his leather shoes stained from puddles. He looked like a shadow wandering into the wrong world. His hair clung to his forehead, and his jaw carried days of stubble. Daniel Hale, though no one in the room knew his name, scanned the cafe as if bracing for rejection. He stepped toward the counter. I'll take a black coffee, he said, voice low but steady. Maya nodded automatically, turning to pour. But as Daniel reached into his coat pocket, his expression froze. His fingers searched, dug deeper, checked the other side. His breath faltered. Empty. Behind the register, Ethan Price, the barista on shift, smirked. Problem? Daniel cleared his throat. I must have left my wallet somewhere. I'm sorry. The cafe went quiet. In the corner, two college kids snickered into their lattes. A woman in pearls leaned closer to her friend and whispered, not softly enough, another vagrant. Ethan crossed his arms. This isn't a soup kitchen, buddy. No money, no coffee. The tension thickened. Daniel's face reddened as he lowered his hand, ashamed. He gave a faint nod, turned toward the door. The laughter from the corner table grew louder. And then, Maya's voice cut through. Wait. She pulled a crumpled $5 bill from her apron and laid it flat on the counter. Her hazel eyes locked on Ethan's. I'll cover it. Ethan rolled his eyes. Maya, seriously? You don't have to play Mother Teresa. Her jaw tightened. It's $5. Just ring it in. The cafe hushed again. Maya slid the steaming cup toward Daniel. Here you go, sir. Daniel blinked, stunned. I can't accept that. You can, and you will, she said firmly. Kindness isn't a transaction. It costs us nothing to show compassion. The line hung in the air like a strike of lightning. The students in the corner stopped laughing. Even Ethan went silent, cheeks flushed with irritation. Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he wrapped them around the warm cup. He met Maya's gaze, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, his shoulders loosened. Someone had seen him not as a burden, but as a man. Thank you, he whispered. Maya gave a small smile. Enjoy your coffee. He turned, clutching the cup like it was more than a drink, like it was proof he still mattered. As the doorbell chimed behind him, rain swallowing him up again, Maya exhaled, unaware she had just shifted the course of her life. The rest of the shift passed, but the tension lingered. Customers whispered, debating whether Maya had done the right thing. Ethan muttered under his breath every time he passed her, throwing side glances that dripped with judgment. But Maya stood tall, unbothered. Later, when she walked home, the city buzzed under slick streets and glowing lights. Her younger sister, Sophie Carter, was waiting in their small apartment, a stack of textbooks spread across the couch. "You're soaked," Sophie said, looking up. "Another long day." Maya kicked off her shoes. "The usual. Except," she hesitated, debating whether to share. "Except today, I helped someone who needed it." Sophie smiled faintly. "That sounds like you." "Yeah, but everyone stared at me like I was crazy. Like compassion was out of style." Her sister tilted her head. "Maya, Mom always said, if you have the choice to be kind or to be cruel, choose kindness. Even if no one else understands." Maya sank into the couch beside her sister, hearing their late mother's words echo in her mind. For the first time all day, she felt peace. But across town, in a high-rise apartment overlooking Central Park, the same man she defended sat by a window, no longer in rags. His trench coat was gone, replaced by a tailored navy suit. His hair was combed back, his chin clean-shaven. Daniel Hale swirled a glass of bourbon, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. Billionaire. Widower. Philanthropist. The world knew his fortune but not his private war with grief and emptiness. For weeks, he had walked the city in disguise, testing whether people would see him for who he was, not for the billions he controlled. Tonight, one woman had. He set down the glass, a quiet resolve forming in his chest. Tomorrow, he will return to Harper and Pine. And this time, he wouldn't be the man in rags. Comment below, do you believe in love that conquers status, secrets, and fear? The next evening, Harper and Pine Cafe glowed under soft pendant lights, its glass windows fogged by the warmth inside. The day had slowed to a quiet hum, most customers gone, only the clink of cups and low chatter left. Maya Carter tied the strings of her apron tighter, stacking trays in the back. She loved this lull. It was the one time of day she could breathe before locking up. The doorbell chimed. She looked up, and froze. There he was. Not the rain-soaked stranger in a tattered coat, but a man transformed. A navy suit, pressed to perfection. A silk tie. Leather shoes that gleamed like mirrors. His jaw was clean-shaven, hair neatly parted, confidence radiating in every step. Maya's heart stuttered. The recognition was undeniable, the eyes were the same. He walked to the counter, a faint smile tugging his lips. "Evening, Miss Carter." His voice was smooth, deliberate. "I believe I owe you a proper thank you." Maya blinked, gripping the counter for balance. You're Daniel Hale," he said simply, extending his hand. "And you're the woman who embarrassed an entire cafe yesterday just to show kindness to a stranger." A few remaining customers glanced up, curious. Ethan, polishing silverware nearby, stopped dead, his jaw dropping. Maya shook Daniel's hand cautiously. His grip was firm, but warm. "You look different." "I was having a rough day," Daniel replied, eyes glinting with something unreadable. "And you treated me like a man, not a mistake. People don't do that often." Ethan cleared his throat, suddenly eager to ingratiate himself. "Mr. Hale, can I get you something? On the house?" Daniel didn't look at him. "No. I'll pay for my coffee." He slid a $100 bill across the counter. "And I'd like to cover everyone else's drinks tonight, too." Gasps rippled across the room. A couple near the window whispered in disbelief. Ethan fumbled, cheeks red as he rang up the order. Maya raised an eyebrow. "You don't have to do that. I know, Daniel said evenly, but I want to. She poured his coffee, trying to steady her thoughts. This wasn't just gratitude, it was something more. But what? Daniel took his cup and moved to the same corner table he had occupied the day before. He didn't touch his phone, didn't check his watch. He simply sat, watching her. The weight of his gaze lingered long after closing time. When the cafe finally emptied, Daniel waited until Maya wiped the last table. Then he stood and approached her. "May I walk you home?" he asked. Maya hesitated. Her instinct told her to decline. But another part, the one still stirred by his humiliation yesterday, whispered yes. "All right," she said quietly. They stepped into the crisp night. The rain had washed the streets clean, leaving the city glittering under street lamps. They walked in silence until Daniel spoke. "Why did you help me?" Maya glanced at him. "Because you needed it. That's simple." She shrugged. "When I was 16, my mom collapsed in the middle of a grocery store. Everyone stared, but only one stranger ran forward to help me. I never forgot that. If someone looks like they're drowning, you don't watch. You throw a rope." Daniel stopped walking. His expression shifted, softening. "Your mother, is she?" "She passed away a year later," Maya said, voice tight. "Heart condition. But that moment taught me something. Kindness can be the difference between despair and hope. Even if it's small." Silence stretched between them, heavy but alive. Finally, Daniel said, "You remind me of someone I once knew." Maya tilted her head. "Someone important?" He looked away, eyes shadowed by memory. "My wife." Her chest tightened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was years ago." He straightened, slipping his hands into his pockets. "But since then, I've watched people differently. Most kindness comes with strings. Yours didn't. That's rare." Maya didn't know what to say. His words hung in the night like a challenge and a gift. They reached her apartment building. Daniel paused on the steps. "Miss Carter, may I see you again?" Maya's lips parted, caught off guard. "See me?" "Yes. Dinner, perhaps. A proper thank you." She almost laughed. "You don't have to thank me again." "Maybe not," Daniel admitted. "But I'd like to know you. The real you. Not the waitress. Not the woman carrying everyone else's weight. Just, you." Maya studied him, her instincts warring. He was handsome, magnetic, and far too mysterious. And yet, she couldn't shake the memory of his hollow eyes yesterday, desperate for dignity. She nodded, cautiously. "All right. Dinner." Daniel's smile was small, genuine. "Tomorrow night, then. I'll send a car." Before she could protest, he tipped his head in farewell and disappeared into the night, leaving her with a racing heart and a mind full of questions. The following evening, Maya stood before her mirror, smoothing down the only dress she owned that wasn't for work. Sophie, curled on the bed, grinned. "You're glowing. Who is this guy?" Maya shook her head. "I don't know. That's what scares me." "Or excites you," Sophie teased. Maya rolled her eyes but didn't deny it. At 7 p.m. sharp, a sleek black car waited outside. The driver opened the door, addressing her by name. Maya's pulse raced as the city blurred past the windows. When the car stopped, she stepped out in front of the Whitmore Hotel, one of the most luxurious spots in Manhattan. Her stomach tightened. This wasn't dinner, this was something else entirely. Inside, chandeliers sparkled, and waiters in white gloves floated between tables. Daniel stood near the center, suit sharper than ever, eyes fixed on her with a warmth that disarmed her instantly. "You came," he said softly. Maya managed a smile. "Still not sure if I should've." Daniel pulled out her chair. Trust me, you'll understand. Dinner passed in a blur of conversation, his questions about her dreams, her struggles, her family. He listened intently, every word seeming to matter. For a moment, Maya forgot the gulf between their worlds. But as dessert plates were cleared, Daniel leaned forward, his tone shifting. There's something I haven't told you. Maya's breath caught. Daniel's gaze darkened, steady. I'm not who you think I am. And before this goes further, you deserve to know the truth. Maya froze, fork halfway to her lips. What do you mean? She whispered. Daniel inhaled slowly. You didn't rescue a stranger that day. You rescued me. And the truth about who I really am may change everything. Share this story with someone who believes in second chances. The hum of fine dining swirled around them, clinking glasses, hushed laughter, the faint notes of a jazz trio drifting from the corner. But at their table, the air had sharpened into something tense, charged. Maya Carter set her fork down slowly, her pulse drumming in her ears. Daniel Hale's words lingered between them, heavy as stone, I'm not who you think I am. She forced her voice steady. Then who are you, really? Daniel leaned back, his gaze unwavering. The man you met at Harper and Pine wasn't a disguise. That was me, stripped of everything that usually surrounds me. But the truth is, I'm Daniel Hale. Billionaire investor. Owner of Hale Global. One of the wealthiest men in Manhattan. Maya blinked, stunned. She'd seen that name before, on headlines, in business magazines stacked at the cafe. Daniel Hale, the elusive tycoon. But the man she'd given coffee to? He hadn't looked like he had $2 to his name. She shook her head. You expect me to believe that the man in rags who couldn't buy coffee is also, what? A billionaire? Daniel's jaw tightened. Believe me, I didn't expect anyone to. That was the point. Her stomach nodded. The point? I was testing humanity, he admitted, voice low. Since my wife died, I've watched people circle me like vultures, every gesture, every friendship, tied to my money. I wanted to see if there was anyone who could look past it. Who would show kindness with nothing to gain. Maya leaned back, her chair scraping slightly. Her instincts screamed. So what? I was some experiment to you. His face shifted, pain flashing across it. No. That's not what this is. You weren't part of a test, Maya. You were the answer. The only one who saw me as a man, not a wallet. The words struck her harder than she wanted them to. She folded her arms, trying to shield herself. Do you have any idea how manipulative that sounds? Daniel's hands curled into fists on the table, then relaxed. I know. And I hate myself for it. But if you walk away tonight, at least know this, I've never been more sincere in my life than I am with you. Silence fell. The jazz trio shifted into a slower tune. Around them, the glittering room seemed to shrink. Maya's heart raced, torn between indignation and the strange pull she felt toward him. He was complicated, dangerous to her peace. And yet, he'd bared his truth to her. She swallowed hard. Why me? Daniel's eyes softened. Because when I was at my lowest, you didn't look away. And I can't forget that. The ride home was quiet. Maya stared out the window as the car cut through Midtown, neon signs reflecting against the glass. Daniel sat beside her, his presence overwhelming but strangely fragile at the same time. When they reached her building, he stepped out first, offering his hand. She hesitated, then took it. On the stoop, he stopped her. Maya. I want to show you something. Tomorrow. Not dinner. Not fancy hotels. Something real. If you'll let me. She studied him, uncertain. And if I say no? Then I'll respect it, he said. But if you say yes, you might see the man I truly am. Her chest tightened. Against her better judgment, she nodded. All right. Tomorrow. A flicker of relief crossed his face. Thank you. He left her there, standing under the glow of the street lamp, heart hammering with questions she couldn't answer. The next afternoon, a car pulled up outside the cafe just as her shift ended. Daniel was already inside, dressed casually this time, dark sweater, jeans, no trace of the untouchable billionaire aura. Ready? He asked. She slid in cautiously. Where are we going? You'll see. The drive took them away from Manhattan's steel skyline, across bridges and into quieter streets. Finally, the car stopped in front of a modest brick building with a faded sign, Haven House Shelter. Maya frowned. This is a shelter I fund, Daniel said softly. But not many know. I don't want press. I just want to help. Inside, the air buzzed with voices, children playing, volunteers serving hot meals, families gathered at long tables. As Daniel walked through, people greeted him warmly, not as a billionaire, but as a friend. He crouched to tie a boy's shoelace, handed out plates, listened to stories like every word mattered. Maya watched, struck silent. This wasn't the cold magnate she imagined from the headlines. This was human. Later, as they stood in the quiet hallway, she turned to him. Why show me this? Because I want you to know me beyond the money, beyond the suits. This is the part of me that matters. And I thought, you'd understand. Her throat tightened. Against her will, she felt something shift. But before she could respond, a volunteer approached. Mr. Hale, the press is outside. They somehow found out you were here. Daniel's jaw hardened. He looked at Maya, regret flickering in his eyes. I didn't want this. Not tonight. He turned back to the volunteer. Keep them out as long as you can. The volunteer nodded, rushing off. Daniel exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. They'll twist it into some PR stunt. And worse, they'll drag you into it now. Maya's stomach dropped. Me? They'll want to know who you are. Why you're with me. His eyes searched hers. And once your name's out there, Maya, your life may never be the same. Maya froze, pulse racing. Reporters' voices were already faintly echoing from outside, cameras flashing through the windows. Daniel gripped her hand. We need to decide, right now, do we walk out together, or do I face them alone? Her chest heaved as the noise grew louder, the doors rattling under the press of reporters. For the first time, Maya realized this wasn't just about kindness anymore. It was about stepping into a storm that could consume them both. Subscribe for more cinematic love stories told with emotion, drama, and soul. The pounding on the doors grew louder. Reporters' shouts bled through the walls, their questions jagged and insistent. Mr. Hale. Who's the woman with you? Is this your new girlfriend? What's the story behind Haven House? Maya's breath caught. Her palms went slick, her heart hammering in her chest. The glow of Haven House, the laughter of children, the quiet dignity of families who found refuge here, was being drowned out by the frenzy outside. Daniel squeezed her hand tighter. Maya, listen to me. If you walk out there with me, your life changes. The cameras won't stop. The stories won't stop. They'll dig into your past, your family, your work. Everything. If you want to stay out of it, I'll go alone. Her throat tightened. Just hours ago, she had thought of him as a stranger cloaked in secrets. Now, here he was, laying himself bare, offering her the chance to walk away. Maya looked up into his face. Beneath the sharp lines of a billionaire's jaw, beneath the power that commanded boardrooms, his eyes were pleading, afraid, not of the press, but of losing her. Her chest heaved. And if I walk out with you? Then we face them together. For a moment, the noise outside seemed to fade, and all she could hear was the thrum of her own pulse. She thought of the cafe, of the day he couldn't pay for coffee and she'd stepped in without hesitation. Kindness is never wasted, she had said. Did she believe that still? Her younger sister Sophie's words came back to her, echoes of late-night talks over takeout containers. Don't just survive, Maya. Live. Take risks. Let yourself want something bigger. Maya exhaled, trembling, then nodded once. We go together. Relief flickered across Daniel's face, quickly replaced by determination. He drew her closer, his hand firm at her back. Then stay beside me. No matter what they say, don't let go. The doors burst open, and a flood of camera flashes lit up the hallway like lightning. Voices surged all at once, a tidal wave of questions. Daniel stepped forward, shielding Maya as best he could, but not hiding her. Not this time. They moved through the storm, his arms steady around her. Maya kept her chin high, even as the flashes blinded her. A dozen headlines were being written in that instant, she knew, but she wasn't going to be written as a footnote in someone else's story. By the time they reached the car, her heart was still racing, but her grip on his hand had never wavered. The city never truly slept, but as the car sped uptown, Manhattan's skyline shimmered against the night. Maya leaned back, breath unsteady. Daniel turned toward her, his voice low. You didn't have to do that. I know. She glanced out the window, then back at him. But if I'd let you walk out there alone, it would have meant I didn't believe in what I saw today. He frowned slightly. And what did you see? Maya hesitated, then spoke slowly. A man tying a boy's shoelace. Serving meals without expecting thanks. Listening like every word mattered. I saw someone human, Daniel. Not the billionaire from the headlines. Not the man who tested people's kindness. Just, you. The words seemed to disarm him more than the barrage of cameras had. His shoulders lowered, his gaze softened. That's all I've wanted. To be seen for who I am, not what I own. Silence stretched between them, heavy but no longer sharp. Finally, Maya said, so what happens now? Daniel studied her, as if weighing every possible answer. Then he spoke carefully. I want to build something, with you. Not another skyscraper or hedge fund. Something that lasts. Something that matters. Her brows knit. What do you mean? I've poured money into charities, but I've always kept my distance. Safe. Untouched. Tonight reminded me why that isn't enough. I want to start a foundation, not in my name, in yours. The Carter Foundation. Focused on the small acts of kindness that ripple outward. Scholarships, shelters, mentorships, things that change lives quietly, the way you changed mine. Maya froze. Her name. On a foundation. Her first instinct was awe. Her second was fear. That's too much, she whispered. Daniel, I don't want to be some figurehead for your philanthropy. I don't want billboards or plaques. I just want, she stopped, words catching in her throat. He leaned closer. What do you want, Maya? Her chest tightened. No one had asked her that in years, not like this, not with such intent. She thought of Sophie, still young and searching. She thought of the cafe, of scraping rent together, of the endless grind. And she thought of the families at Haven House, their gratitude, their laughter despite everything. I want to help, she said finally. But not through something huge, not through a machine of donations and red tape. I want to start small. Personal. Like you did with Haven House. Something real. Daniel's lips curved, half a smile, half a sigh. Then that's what we'll do. We'll start with what feels true. Together. The car slowed outside her apartment. For once, she didn't feel the urge to bolt inside, to escape the weight of everything. Instead, she lingered, watching him, feeling the gravity between them. "Daniel," she said softly. "This was never about the money. Not for me." He nodded slowly, as though the truth of it was still sinking in. "I know. That's why you're the only person I trust with my heart now." Her breath caught. The city's neon glow washed across his face, highlighting every line of sincerity. He wasn't making a business pitch. He wasn't building a facade. He was giving her the one thing he'd hidden from the world: vulnerability. And for the first time since their strange journey began, Maya let herself want him, openly, fiercely. She reached for his hand, their fingers intertwining again, not under flashes or scrutiny, but in quiet. "Then let's start here," she whispered. Daniel lifted her hand, pressing a kiss against her knuckles, reverent. "Here is perfect." As dawn edged the horizon, Maya realized the choice she had made wasn't about stepping into wealth or scandal. It was about stepping into something far rarer, being seen, being believed in, being loved without condition. For Daniel, the test was over. For Maya, the story was just beginning. And together, they chose not power, not headlines, but each other. The end. If this story touched your heart, hit like and let us know in the comments what part resonated with you most.